Let's talk about right and wrong. As we watch this video of this guy getting slapped, as soon in your mind as you make a decision with what he did being right or wrong, leave a comment below and look at some of the other comments, because I bet to you it's pretty clear that what he did was clearly right or clearly wrong, but you're gonna see a lot of difference in the comments below. So I wanna break this down. I wanna do a little detective work to try to see all the different moving parts to try to guess what was going on in this. But more importantly, talk about sometimes seemingly gray area situations, because more and more of this is going on in the United States now, and people are able to do what this guy with the camera is doing more and more. I talk to Dallas police officers all the time, and it concerns me with how much you can't defend yourself and the people that you're with. It concerns me, and we'll talk more about that. But just to set this up, this guy, I don't know what his role is in city. I didn't research this. I don't think that's important. He could be a CEO, he could be security. But this guy who supposedly or apparently works for a climate activist, or he is a climate activist, they're there trying to do something, trying to make a point. And so he comes up and, well, you can see what he does here. You can see for yourself. It reminds me of that Rick James skit.
I had to straighten him out. Sometimes I had to go upside his head.
I like the clap he has at the end. He's pretty proud. So, okay, so the first thing, just to get context, look at this woman here. It looks like she's handcuffed. So it looks like there's a lot of people. This person's standing on the desk. That probably isn't a city employee. This lady clearly isn't a city employee, and he is not. Okay, so you've got a bunch of activists who are there. Some of them are getting arrested. So they're already doing things that they shouldn't be doing, right? They're breaking the law. And so this guy, he's clearly emotional. As quick as he snapped on him, this is not like this just started now. This is something that started unfolding a while ago. Okay, so they all have cameras. So almost everyone in here is an activist. And so okay, so here's the thing. If you look at the law in the United States, let me pull it up here and I'll read it for you. The definition for assault without physical contact is, I'll just read it to you. Assault in many states can include the threat of imminent harm or offensive contact, even if no physical contact occurs. In this instance, it means that if someone puts their hands or camera very close to your face in a way that makes you reasonably fear they could be about to hit you or cause harm, it could be considered assault, and then he would be defending himself. And then the legal standard is whether a reasonable person in the same situation would feel threatened. A question that I have for you is, do you think it should be legal for somebody, regardless if he works for city, it doesn't matter in any context, if this is you right here, should it be legal for someone to follow you around and keep the camera up in your face like this? Do you think so? Leave me a comment below, and then leave me a comment on why you think it should be or why you think it shouldn't be. Another good question to ask is, if you were to make a law now, forget all the laws there, do you want to live in a country where people can do this and you can't defend yourself or push them back? Like, I think that regardless of your stance about climate activism, this is not a place that you want to live. You shouldn't be able to infringe on people's lives and things like that, regardless what your stance is on what they're doing. It reminds me of a story when I was talking to a Dallas police officer. I was like, hey, if you were out, just considering what was going on, I didn't want to know what the actual law said, but what actually happened in reality. Say you're out with a girlfriend or your wife, and someone came up and just grabbed her on the rear end or slapped her on the rear end, and then ran away, and you took 3 steps, ran him down, and punched him. What do you think would happen? And he said, I tell you what, he said, I wouldn't do it because the guy could sue you for assault. It seems wrong to me and my moral compass for someone to be able to do something like that, which could be considered sexual assault, and you as the husband or the boyfriend can't do anything to prevent that or to protect her. That is not a culture that I want to live in. I don't feel like that's right. And I'm sure some people watching this, and you're more than welcome to comment below your thoughts. I think it should be an open debate. But that is something that I don't think is right. And I see that as kind of a slippery slope argument for what we're seeing right here. Where is the line? This is a little bit more of a gray area. I think the first instance that I gave when you're with your girlfriend or your wife is not a gray area. I think that's very black and white. You should be able to defend anyone that you're with. But something like this, it's a little bit more of a gray area. But I don't think that when you're not able to defend yourself or stand up for yourself when people are doing this, it obviously encourages more and more people to do things like this. And I don't think anybody wants to live in a world where people can follow you around. Hey, look at you. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's a good way to live. And that's a moral stance that I have. And the reason that I bring this up on the Charisma Matrix channel where we talk about social skills, competence, is because one of the things that concerned me when I was talking to that officer is if you don't feel like you can defend the people that you're with and your loved ones the way that you think you should, you're not able to have a lot of confidence. If you're afraid that if you stand up for somebody, you're going to go to jail for assault because, maybe the jury is a little more on the liberal side and they say they just side with people in any kind of violence. That's concerning. And it's really hard to feel confident and act confident when you aren't confident that you can behave in a way that feels like you have integrity. I've talked about this many times. A lot of people want to know a shortcut to real confidence. Real confidence is something that's not situational. You feel it all day, every day. And one of the most important things you can do to develop that is to live with integrity, which just means you would do exactly the same thing if nobody was around, as if one person or 50 people around, because that's your integrity. There's nothing that is more important than you compromising your integrity to do something that you don't feel is right. And man, does that instill confidence. And it concerns me when what my own morals and my own integrity tells me is right. It says, well, maybe you could go to jail for that. Now, for me, it would be more important for me to roll the dice and defend somebody that I'm with and I care about that somebody has wronged or attacked or anything like that. I'm much more willing to roll the dice and maybe the jury convicts you, but I'm not going to live a life where I feel like, maybe I'll get a weird jury and they'll think that because I'm a big guy that I acted violently and whatnot. Doesn't matter. It's more important to understand the risk. I understand that risk and I'll accept that risk. But being able to accept that risk is also what enables me to live with the highest level of confidence, which is really important to me. There's nothing more important than your integrity.